When talking about video game icons, it's hard to look past Pac-Man. Starting life in the arcades in the 1980 classic that bore his name, he and his family starred in many games over the following 20 years, leading up to 1999's 3D platformer PAC-MAN World on the PlayStation. Now over 20 years further on, PAC-MAN World has received a remastered or repacked version which releases on the Nintendo Switch this week. Is Pac-Man's power pellet enough to sell it, or should you ghost it completely? I'm Glen Bolger, thank you to Bandai Namco for the review code, and now let's find out. The story revolves around Pac-Man's friends and relatives throwing him a party for his birthday. However, his lifelong nemesis, the ghosts, take this opportunity to attack in order to capture Pac-Man and his friends. Pac-Man was not yet at the party and so avoids capture, but his friends are taken to Ghost Island. Pac-Man must make his way through the various worlds of Ghost Island, rescue his friends and stop the leader of the ghosts, Toc-Man. So in terms of gameplay, Pac-Man World Re-PAC is a 3D platformer, albeit one set on quite a linear plane. There are 6 worlds to conquer, with each having around 4 stages, the last of each being a boss battle. The aim of each stage is to make it to the end and break the Toc-Man statue, and whilst for the most part this is a straightforward left to right affair, there is some backtracking involved owing to the various mechanics at play within each stage. For example, there are a number of different switch types, some of which will perform a standard action such as lowering a platform, but others must be pressed in order or will reverse the movement pattern of a set of platforms, allowing you to move back and find the path forward. Some will open doors that transport you up further into the stage, and from there you may find some of the items needed to make further progress into the level. That brings us to the next mechanic, being the many locked doors that you will come across. These can only be opened by finding the corresponding items shown above the door, which for the most part will be a particular fruit, and within these doors will either be another switch to allow for progress onward, or a bonus in the shape of an extra life, or a collectible for the stage. Within each stage are the letters to spell out Pac-Man, and finding all of these will send you to a bonus level once the stage has been complete. Again, you may need to backtrack once you've found a particular piece of fruit that opens a door earlier in the level in order to collect all of these. Other than fruit though, the symbols atop the doors will either be a key or the ship from the game Galaxian, another Bandai Namco property of course. Finding the Galaxian ship and then the corresponding door will open up a maze, a quick bonus stage set out like a modern version of the traditional Pac-Man arcade game, whereas the key will unlock a cage that holds one of your friends captive. Stages are filled with enemies which can be defeated by one of 3 moves. You can either throw the dots that you've collected at them, perform a spin attack, or use what's called a butt bounce by jumping and then jumping again whilst in the air. The only enemies that cannot be defeated in any of these ways are the ghosts, and to defeat these you must hit the nearby switch to activate a set of dots to collect, and grabbing the power pellet here will see Pac-Man grow in size and be able to destroy the ghosts. Completing a stage will take you to a slot machine where you can insert any of the medal collectibles you found for a chance to win extra lives, and the worlds can be attempted in any order bar a couple that remain locked until the others have been successfully completed. I must say that the game does a very good job of incorporating the classic Pac-Man tropes into a platformer, and the gameplay is very solid. Had I not known of the original's existence, it wouldn't have been much of a stretch to believe that this was a new release based on the old franchise, and it holds up very well despite it being almost 25 years since it first released. There is a little bit of repetition as you move on, with most levels being fairly similar in terms of beat for beat application, but played in short bursts it's still a good time. In terms of the controls, again for the most part things are absolutely fine. The depth of field never caused an issue with jumps or battling enemies, and the only major issues I had referred to some of the attacks. The dot throw didn't seem to follow the expected trajectory a lot of the time, making it feel quite weak and not always as useful as it should have been, and the butt bounce didn't always seem to respond on the first press whilst in the air. This usually meant falling down and having to retry the attack, which could at times cause you to be hit. Gameplay has held up well, with the level layout leading to some interesting puzzles, and the boss battles are a particular highlight. Things can feel a bit repetitive after a while, but on the whole, gameplay gets 16 out of 20. Controls do the job for the most part, with just that jump attack feeling a bit inconsistent, and they also get 16 out of 20. When it comes to the visuals, this Re-PAC version of Pac-Man World has received a bit of a graphical overhaul. Character sprites and textures look much sharper now, with the pixelated look of the original a thing of the past. I do like how they have modernised the look without losing the charm of the original, with levels recreated to keep the features that fans will enjoy, and the added details in the far background, whilst not outstanding by modern standards, do really help to just round out the package and almost finish off the intentions of that original game. I must say, having studied it a fair bit for this review, it's quite impressive how well the original has held up, but I am very impressed that this got the full remake treatment. It's much more than the simple upscale effort I was expecting. Performance was solid, I experienced no slowdown or frame drops whilst playing, either in handheld or docks mode. Audio wise, the tunes are upbeat and appropriate to the on-screen action, and it's a pleasure to hear a few reworkings of the classic Pac-Man theme fed into some of the musical tracks. Alongside this, you have the well-loved sound effects for eating dots and chasing ghosts. It's strange how music of a remaster of a 20-year-old game can make you feel nostalgic for a 40-year-old game, but this game seems to pull that off quite well. Visuals take that nostalgic 32-bit look and update it for a modern audience. They get 18 out of 20. Audio serves the action well and is at its best when referencing the classic Pac-Man sounds. It gets 17 out of 20. Pac-Man World Re-PAC costs £35.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. The first thing you may notice by looking at the regional prices is the stark difference between particular regions, which makes this a little harder to gauge, but regardless of whether your region comes off better or not, the discrepancies between them is very disappointing. I will say that the fact that this is a full remake and not just a polished up remaster, as is the case a lot of the time when these older games are re-released, does deserve to be mentioned, as does the inclusion of modern features such as an autosave being included, as I believe the original relied on the use of a memory card. That being said, a few extras wouldn't have gone amiss. Some concept art or developer interviews on the process of turning an iconic character well known for 2D adventures into a 3D platform star, just something like that to commemorate the development process of the original game. Add another point on if your region has got the better end of the stick, but on balance, value gets 13 out of 20. To conclude, Pac-Man World Re-PAC stands as a very enjoyable game to this day, and this comes from someone that never played it first time round. The levels are fun with some variety in the settings and a number of collectibles to find for those wanting a bit more than just the A to B adventure. I did feel that the basic concept started to get a bit repetitive, but I alleviated this by shortening my sessions with the game, just doing a couple of stages at a time instead. The new graphical style is appealing, bringing the game up to date whilst retaining its charm, and I can see fans of the original and newcomers with an interest in the character having a good time here. I would say it's a bit overpriced, but if you can look past this, then it is well worth gobbling up. Pac-Man World Re-PAC gets a SwitchUp score of 80%. Thank you everybody for watching this review, I hope you enjoyed it. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. Don't forget, if you are looking for eShop credit to pick up this game or any other for that matter, you can get eShop cards from our website, switchup.gg. There's also a Play Asia link down there if you want to get yourself any imports. Use the link and use the code stated and you can get yourself 5% off of an order. A quick thank you to our patrons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.